give me a chair and just sit in the way.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving right along while you're eating, and I hope the food is good. I'm so glad to see a lot of the people that came out supporting JumpStart and the National Action Network, the Patterson chapter. Right now, we're going to bring out Councilman Saya. He just wants to say hi to everyone, and then he's going to make another announcement. Councilman Saya.
Let's have a round of applause for Jamie Bland. She's been jump-starting things in Patterson for over a decade, and we appreciate her, and of course our youth benefit by her presence in Patterson, and I, for one, appreciate the work that you've done. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying yourselves this evening. I have the distinct honor of introducing our guest speaker, who is an icon in his own right, of course, and today we're keeping the dream alive. So Mr. Belgrave today is going to be talking on the topic of I Have a Dream, but in this instance, he has a dream too, and his speech is entitled I Have a Dream. So ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for our featured speaker of the evening, Mr. Belgrave, please.
Good evening, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here during this Black History Month. I put together a tribute in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King's August 1963 March on Washington speech. And I paralleled it to what's happening today in our country. And I called it, I Have a Dream Too. I truly hope you enjoy it. I'm glad to join you today in what will go down in history as one of the greatest demonstrations for equality in the history of our nation. The Declaration of Independence was one of our most cherished symbols of liberty. The Constitution of the United States said we the people was established to provide justice for all. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a landmark legislation for our nation. And the Emancipation Proclamation signed scores of years ago, all supposed to help us move forward. But it appears that the direct deposit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness did not hit the account. The wire transfer of equality was redirected back in the debit card of justice for all was declined. African Americans, people within the diaspora, continue to struggle. We have gone from legalized slavery to legalized racial profiling. We have gone from city and state and federally run jails to private prison corporate complexes. We have gone from living on giant rural slave plantations to living in rundown urban ghetto plantations. We have gone from a system of separate and not equal to a system of integration with no justice. It has been over 40 years since Dr. Martin Luther King died, and 50 years since that historic march on Washington, and America still continues to hand us a check this mark void. America wants to be recognized as a first-class nation, both internally and by the broader world communities. But the reality of our internal decision-making reveals an absence of concern for having second and third-class citizens. Every place you look, achievements, accomplishments, and milestones that were broken by earlier generations are being taken away. And as our older generation of individuals who fought for justice and equality in the 60s leave us, many of our government officials are starting to feel that there is some type of generational apathy festering in our communities of color, and that they now have a prime opportunity to take back the civil rights that we fought for and died for. Some Americans want us to again to accept the subordinate place in American society. But I say to you today, while standing here, one time in America, and I think some of you can remember, you had to be the hardest worker if you wanted to succeed in a country where the flames of injustice were burning bright. My father and grandfather grew up before words like diversity, multiculturalism, Preferential treatment and affirmative action became common. They did not have automatic doors when it came to life freedom. They had to kick them in with that. They went over them with determination. They removed them with agitation. So I want to say to those officials today that we won't be drinking from the cooling fountain of gradualism or lying back in the tranquilizing luxuries of life. No mental or societal camouflages are going to distract us. Today, we challenge the United States of America to live up to its ideas, because the American agenda is still undecidedly unfinished. It is unfinished because some of our policymakers are making decisions that are affecting our community in a negative fashion. And they are making these decisions based on the premise that the civil rights movement is over. They feel we have lost that willpower of steel we once had because we no longer see signs for whites only. But nothing can be further from the truth. We are moving forward in our quest for equality. We are moving forward because we won't go back to poll taxes or restricted eligibility requirements or bizarre gerrymandering or the rewriting of our Constitution. These are the tactics that the Supreme Court and legislators and governors around this country are using to nullify and suppress the voting rights of the middle class and the poor. We are moving forward because today's school system have handed our children a check marked insufficient funds. And if America continues to hand our children this type of check, we will go from a first-class nation to a no-class nation. We are moving forward because today's school system have handed our children a check marked insufficient funds. And this has caused our children to see only darker days and even bleaker tomorrows. And if America continues to abandon our children, we will rapidly go from a first-class nation to a no-class nation. We are moving forward because we won't go back to sitting in back of the bus or drinking from separate water fountains. Now, we can't overlook the urgency of the moment. The changes that are needed in America are both challenging, both domestically and internationally. But together with hard work, we will forge ahead. We cannot look back. There are those who say, look how far you have come. Don't you think you have enough? Well, we can never have enough as long as most Americans are shackled to a life sentence of poverty with no parole. We can never have enough as long as people who built this country have to choose between buying medication that they must take or buying food that they must have. We can never have enough as long as the unemployment rates and the high school dropout rates and the jailhouse capacity rates continue to increase. No, we don't have enough. We won't have enough until equality opens up like a bursting cloud and morality spreads like rust and wind. I know some of you sitting here have lost faith in the American system. Some of you have been battered by the increase in police brutality and stagnated by the injustice in the justice system. Some of you are the innocent victims of prosecution and the recipients of great trials and tribulations. Some of you are bogged down in the quicksand of poverty and traumatized by the increase in crime, but continue to walk with a spirit that's unmovable. So I say go back to New Jersey, where you are. Go back to New York. Go back to Chicago. Go back to Detroit with the belief that America can and will move forward. I say to you today, my brothers and sisters, and I'm going to preach a new sermon. It was a sermon deeply rooted in Martin's heart and is deeply rooted in the American dream, because I have a dream too. I have a dream that one day America will use this rich and diverse mixture of gender, ethnic, and socio-economic backgrounds in a way that will more fully allow this great nation to embrace the reality that our better days are ahead of us. In this way, we will come to realize that what lies behind us, what lies in front of us, is of little consequences when we compare it to what lies within us. I have a dream that one day opportunities that are rapidly closing for the poor and middle class will open back up. And every jail will be empty and every university and school will be filled. I have a dream that my African American brothers and sisters will be able to coexist peacefully in their own neighborhoods. And that word that the slave master used to demoralize and dehumanize us will not continue to rain down like a mighty storm in our communities. I have a dream too. I have a dream that one day Americans who are just fighting for their right for justice, fighting for their right for freedom, will not be made to feel like they are refugees in their own land, or that they are in a militarized zone and they are just trying to get their equality. Somewhere I read that we have freedom of speech. Somewhere I read that there's freedom of speech. Somewhere I read that there are some things that are neither created by or derived from the state. They are God-given. This is my hope. This is my spirit. This is what I will travel around the world with. With this spirit, we will be able to make people's lives better. With this spirit, we will be able to have peace and harmony in this country and around the world. With this spirit, we will be able to transform all of God's people into knowledgeable, empathetic, and self-directed moral individuals. With this spirit, we will be able to work together, struggle together, undergo changes together, and celebrate our successes together. Oh yes, this will be a grand day. Because this will be the day when all of God's children will be able to come together and proudly say, oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fluted plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhoods from sea to shining sea. And if America wants to continue to stand as the greatest nation under God, this must become true. So let this spirit reign from the historical Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. Let this spirit reign from the marvelous heights of Eagle Mountain, Minnesota. Let this spirit reign from the breathtaking frozen hills of Pioneer Peak, Alaska. Let this spirit reign from the peaceful slopes of Stone Mountain, North Carolina. But not only that, we must let this spirit reign from the natural beauty of Mount Olympus, Utah. Let this spirit reign from the majestic hills of Castle Peak, Colorado. Let this spirit reign from the symbolic wings of the White House. And when we let this spirit reign from every city and every state, from every heart and every soul, we will be able to come together and rejoice and say in the words of the new civil rights generation, equality at last. Equality at last. Glory be to God. We have equality at last. Thank you.
America is essentially a dream. It is a dream of a land where men of all races.
Mother of the movement, Miss Rosa Parks, 1913 to 2005. In the face of the law of the land, she sat down. She gave birth to the Montgomery bus boycott. Though it was the law of life in that day and time, not giving your seat to a white man was a crime. So she refused to go along to get along because she knew Jim Crow was unjust and morally wrong. She took a stand for life and stood her ground and changed all of America just by sitting down.
When a black woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, she was arrested.
After 381 days of black unity and taking it to the street, Alabama Jim Crow had to take a back seat. In the name of justice, she was born to strike a blow in the face of Willie Lynch, Uncle Sam, and Jim Crow. Because of her single act of courage, dignity, and pride, never again will we the people be taken for a ride.
Black bus riders who paid the same fare as whites were required by law to give up their seats to white riders and move to the back of the bus as the whites boarded.
As mother of the movement, she opened up the door for the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1964. She took a stand for life and stood her ground and changed all of America just by sitting down.
There is power in unity and there's power in numbers.
So in the face of the law of the land, she sat down, but taught us to stand, and yet not to stand still.